In fact, one thing you should definitely remember is that this fantasy world is in your own head. In reality, you're only typing words on a computer screen. Just keep telling yourself that. No matter what.
Hey everyone, welcome to the second session of Internet Real Life. Last week we did sort of a broad overview. What does it mean to be an internet optimist, an internet pessimist, and then an internet realist? And today we're going to talk about something that came up quite a bit in the last session, which is scenes. Scenes online, scenes in person. I'm excited.
I'll introduce today's guest. We got Jreg, artist, YouTuber, anti-centrist. And if the four quadrants of the political compass was anthropomorphized, it would be Jreg. And we're not going to talk about his political art today, but we are going to talk about his scene making that he's doing in Toronto with the CCRU. And I imagine Greg will expand on that in a moment. So I'm going to take in Greg. He'll present, and then if you have any questions, pop them in the chat anytime. And then when we get to the Q&A portion, we will ask Jreg some questions. So Greg, my friend, welcome. And I believe you have a screen share.
Hello, hi, hello. I have a screen share. I am now going to share the screen. Yes. Wow. Do you see the screen that I'm sharing? I was asked to create a presentation about what I do in terms of scene. So yeah, this is what I do in terms of scene. We have a little community here called the CCCRU. So it's a shared workspace, and that's it. It's not that big of a deal. Or is it? Bum, bum, bum. I don't have the dopamine for pictures. So here's all the pictures I took. They all got fucked up. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, this is what they look like. We got an audio room, a guy built a desk. We recently got a second room because the landlord's taken an interest in what we're doing. And that's kind of going to be a theme, is just like when you're building something, it's going to seem radical and also incredibly mundane. And I think that's probably a good sign when you're doing stuff that's cool and that no one else is doing. Because you can run into the danger of thinking that you're doing something very important and get a little too high off your bridges when high off. Yeah, big on your britches. I don't know the word, but something like that. You know, you think that you're doing something revolutionary, and then people look at it and you're like, maybe you're just investing in an office space. And I think I allow people to sort of project. Seems like we're doing something cool, bringing all these creators together, but maybe we're just making an office space. Maybe that's all you got to do. Maybe all you got to do is get your friends together and do something cool in real life. And then you all of a sudden find out that you can give people stuff to do on days when they want to do it and hang out with people and just create a third space for people to hang up on. Okay, so here's my history, all right? I blew up online, became an internet person, then COVID happened, accentuated all my lonely feelings about, you edit yourself on the internet and then you read comments about yourself. Very lonely, isolating experience. Almost like that's what the elites want. Us to be alone in a little cube, just tapping away, tap, tap, tap. That's no way to live. That's no way to live. I'm going on record as saying that's no way to live. And started being obsessed with finding my people. You've probably felt this, I would assume. Lots of people feel this. When you finally find your people, you're hanging around people that you actually can talk to about the things you're obsessed with and you're thinking about. It's a good feeling. A lot of people only find that on Discord, which is a place, but it's not great. Trying to be less atomized, I realized having friends in real community is the most radical thing you can do. It's true. I've been on this radicalization journey as a kind of like as a live, laugh, love sort of personal journey thing. And I've realized that being with a community, being with friends, that's actually, if someone starts talking to you about their political philosophy and has no friends, throw it out. Throw it out. You don't need it. Throw it out. Also, if they're deeply unwell, you can also probably throw it out. I don't know why I'm telling you that. I eventually found one person, which was Brogan/Archad, who was as dedicated to making something real as I was. He was in Toronto, so I moved to Toronto. That's how dedicated I was. I knew one guy, and that's really what I recommend is find someone, just one other person who's as mentally ill as you are for wanting to revolt against the modern world, so to speak, by creating a community. Started off as a dusty basement. We couldn't afford anything besides that. So Brogan gave up his entire workspace, his entire home, and said, it's like, this is public now. and I'm just going to hide in this little corner of my apartment. That's my only personal space. And everything else, people can come in, work, meet each other. Obviously, in my world, I'm an internet guy. So we were just searching for internet guys. But you can do this with anything. You can do this with any interest. Probably. I don't know. Again, this is a hyper-specific example from my life. So I don't know the utility of it. But we kept inviting people by. Eventually, we had 8 people willing to pay $500 a month. And then that's enough to buy this studio space that I'm currently working in. And it's got an audio room, and we've got like a second space now. And all that was just us existing. Really, we just had to keep existing and not explode upon ourselves. So we got a decent sized studio space, and we have a space for foreigners to stay over a couple of nights. So people have come from all over the world to hang out with us and meet all the people. And you would think YouTubers would do this more, but actually fucking nobody does this. Nobody. We've looked all around the world and no one's done this. So you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Obviously, I have tremendous privilege from my position to connect with other people, but this is doable at any level. And when I was younger, I really needed something like this to exist, which I never did. But why? Why would we do this? Why wouldn't we just do our work alone in our rooms, slowly allowing the forces of capital to worm their way into every aspect of our life, killing us slowly as our mortal forms dissolve into dust and we become more like machine than man? I don't know. I don't know why I did it. There's no reason. Humans need other humans to contextualize their accomplishments, but I'd rather get 1 million subscribers alone in my room or 100,000 with my friends, 100,000 with my friends. Obviously. Living your entire life online is cringe and lame. Since then, we've had all kinds of people from all over the world. Here's some names. Who cares? Peter, the Stoic Stoa, came by. That's fun. He kept talking about stoicism, how much he loved stoicism, and how much he was big into stoicism. It's true. He couldn't stop talking about it. And more coming soon. Here's some more names. Blah, whatever. Who cares? We call everyone by their screen name here. And we're at 2.5 space. Okay, this is crucial because we work here. We don't just hang out and have fun. We also produce techno capital. We also worship techno capital. That's important too. You got to be aware of that. We got to be aware of what God we worship. And in this case, we're making money on the internet. So, that's unavoidable, really. It's also run as a direct democracy dictatorship. So everyone votes, but I can veto it at any time because it's all fake. Yeah, so I don't know. All you need to do is exist. Like all the sorts of things that we've gotten, received, the opportunities we've received. Lots of cool things are happening, but mostly it's just as a direct result of existing. You don't have to try very hard. You just have to exist as you are, as a group. And the more people who are just, sincerely a part of that group, the more opportunities you all get collectively. Things are much better with other people. I don't know why I was without other people for so long. Things with people with no community constantly ask me, what if it falls apart? What if there's an allegation against one of you guys? What if you have a fight and you go your separate ways? What if you associate with someone and it ruins your reputation? And to which I say, no community, shut up. You have no community. I get strong vibes that you guys have no community if you're asking me these questions. Because, what would happen if any of that stuff happened? I wouldn't regret fucking anything. I wouldn't regret a single thing. It would be totally fine. Okay, so internet optimism versus internet pessimism. First of all, I'm pessimaxed, okay? I'm neurotopilled. I think everything sucks all the time. I will concede, however, in the spirit of getting to internet realism from my internet pessimism, that it did connect everybody that I love into my space, which has been nice. So maybe you can use internet, which is to say, a Discord server is never going to be a community, but it could be a path to getting a community, Could be a path to gathering everybody together. Maybe, or maybe it'll destroy your life. That's also possible. But I'm gonna pull back on that, just for the sake of this this specific presentation. I'm gonna pull back on that. It's fine. It could be fine. Yeah, Discord servers aren't communities in my experience, but you can use them to bring people together. You can use the internet to bring people together and find your people, and that's very rewarding. Or maybe the people that you need are really just all around you in your local community. Wrong. You gotta go online. You gotta become a YouTuber. Go online again. See, this is a very specific example, so I don't know the utility of it. Yeah. Is that it? That's pretty much it. Again, I don't know about these pictures. Oh, here's the pictures, and they're working They're working better. Okay, yeah. This is what it is. This is what it is. I hope that was very coherent and non-psychotic. And I will take questions. I don't know. How does this work? Do I take questions now?
All right. Yeah, we'll take questions. Let's give Greg a round of applause. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. Kat and I will warm up Greg up some questions. If you have questions, pop them in the chat or do that little emoji hand. And I'll ask the first question, which was actually going to be about stoicism, but since you stoic shamed me, Greg, I have to.
I hate stoics. I'm just putting that on the record. I think they're cringe. I think you should feel as much pain as possible at all times. That's what I do.
All right. So I'll forgo the stoic question.
But I'll still take a stoic question. I'm just saying. I want to put that out there.
All right. So my first question is like your sort of ambition space or your goals pre-scene, post-scene. Like, did you have any like metrics goals? Like, oh, I want to get like, this amount of followers. And
yeah, I'm not really a planning kind of guy. I'm not really a guy with a plan, but I associate with people who do have plans. So maybe if you ask them, they'd have some sort of answer for you. They'd be able to talk much more grandly about this. For me, this is a one step at a time kind of, let's, just try to not explode upon ourselves. There's other people in the community who have big ideas of money and success. And I think that'll come, but I also just want to exist. That's my goal.
And so the question was getting at now being in a scene, has that changed your relationship with, being online and like maybe your goals or unconscious or conscious ambitions that you had?
I think my only ambition, consciously at least, is to hang around friends that are doing what I'm doing that I can relate to on a deep level, but also to have communities other than just this as well. And just be a well-rounded person. Those are my ambitions. I know that's pretty fucked up and crazy, but that's just where I'm at personally.
And when we last hung out, we were talking about vibes, and there's this concept of proof of vibes, which is sort of like a security mechanism to like discern group membership based off of like the overall collective vibe. And so, yeah, do you have any thoughts about like how vibes play in who you let into the CC?
Yes, that's a great question. Ultimately it is all vibes based. Who's going to enter certain communities and who's going to, but the main thing is like if we plop them in our studio, do we all get along? Are the vibes good? Because if the vibes are bad, it doesn't matter if you've got a bajillion subscribers. We don't care. And some people fail the vibe check. And that's okay, because there's probably some other community out there for them. Or there's not, and they'll die alone.
And are the sort of like the membership, are they all from people who have an online presence that you met online, or people maybe you met in Toronto at one of your events?
You got to be an artist. That's number one. Well, number one is you got to have good vibes. Number two is you have to be making some kind of art. So we have like a reaction channel part of the studio, right? Which isn't exactly art, but they're making a big animated series. So that's what gets them in, right? You got to be doing something. You got to be doing some sort of interesting artistic activity. And some of us are new. Some of us are just getting started off on YouTube. But everyone that we've met through word of mouth. We haven't done any social media posts or anything. And yeah, everyone here is here because they're doing something cool, and they have found out about the studio through word of mouth, through one of us reaching out to them, and then they actually found value in being around other people that are doing the same thing that they're doing.
Very cool. Kat, do you have any questions for Greg?
Why are you an internet pessimist? What are you most pessimistic about?
I think the internet hollows you out and turns you into a creature beyond the pale of humanity. You see streamers? You guys ever see a streamer? That's not a man. That's not a man anymore. Sorry, hold on. Let me ground my answer in reality. It just hurts my brain. I leave my phone at the studio when I go home because it hurts my brain having internet access all the time. I think it does bad things to me. I personally wasn't cut out for the nonstop stream of noise, and I thought I was, but I'm not. So I try to distance myself as much as possible from it, and that's one of the things you can only do when you have like separation between work and home. But for the sake of this, I will be an internet realist, and I'll say that the internet can be pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, we're all here because of the internet. Give the internet a round of applause. I love the internet. I love the internet.
I think it does literally, before I open up to questions in the group, I will say, I think it does literally make people sick. I've been looking at a lot of studies at this, and like, and even like me, I've been like working on this. It's basically a book chapter at this point, this article, it's like 10,000 words long. I've been working at 6 hours every day this week, right? And I feel ill. And I like looked into it and I was like, I have internet overexposure. Like it's more than just a screen. It's like too much internet actually sickens you. And there's like studies on this.
Yeah, yeah. I've been pretty sickened. I've been pretty illified, but also I have no choice but to use it. So which plays into the internet realism thing, which is like there is no shack in the woods you can escape to. But I'm going to complain about it because that's what I do with everything. I love complaining. So yes, I've been ill since I was a wee boy, since I was first plopped the phone in my hand, and there's no way out.
Peter, should we open it up to the group now?
All right. Again, if you have questions, pop them in the chat. Walker, we'll go with you first, and feel free to just unmute yourself and ask Greg your question.
Yeah, kind of a two-part question. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, so you're kind of doomer on Discords and online communities, and I was wondering, do you think it's possible to have a scene or a community outside of location proximity?
Yes. But it's worse. I think you should always, if your community is online, be a little uncomfortable with that. Be a little uncomfortable with that because you lose something when you're not interacting with people in the real world. It's actually a lot easier to kind of be a little sociopath online. And in person, if you do something disruptive to the community, then everybody knows. And then there's like real world consequences for that. You're more interconnected in the real world. But I also understand that a lot of people, especially people who are living in suburbs and stuff, don't have access, or some people don't have the funds, $500 a month to invest in a shared space, right? So like maybe Discord is the best you could do right now, but I don't know if you should be satisfied with that.
Yeah, and then the follow-up, like you guys have this unique situation going where everybody's paying $500 a month, and you have the techno capital, so to speak, to afford that. And I'm wondering, do you think that it's possible to have a shared physical space without that capital?
Yes.
And how would somebody go about that?
So some brave soul is going to have to sacrifice some of their living space and turn it into a third space or a second space or whatever. That's what happened with my my co-guy, who just was like, all right, I'm giving up, because we don't have money. We don't have that much money. I'm giving up. I'm pretty sure he could not afford the plus $500 a month at that time anyway. So gave up 2/3 of his living space, and then he was in a basement, 1 bedroom. So he got the 1 bedroom to himself, and then the rest of the space was for everybody to use. And that worked actually well enough for the time. And then eventually he was like, I'm tired of my space being used by other people all day, every day. And I need, let's just get in regular space. Because at that point we had 8 people who were willing to pitch $500 for a shared space.
Cool. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Walker.
So, okay. So the community you're describing, I mean, it sounds like scenes kind of around that, I've been a part of, or that are like around locations. The one thing about it that seems prohibitive to me, and I think for most people, or there's really 2. The first is that it demands some sort of some degree of fame, some artistic thing that you're spending most of your time on. And then the corollary of that is that, like, for people who lead comparatively normal lives, have children, have responsibilities, have things that they have to do where they can't put this amount of investment in, certainly can't give up their living space. It isn't really a viable means of seeking personal connection. And I think this is often why people end up finding their communities on the internet, or people, or like-minded souls, because the exclusivity of the time demands and the effort demands. It also seems to put fundamentally put a deadline on it, unless you have an extremely strong institutional culture. So as you said, it's sort of a dictatorship. Presumably at some point, this is not the person you're going to want to be in terms of the amount of time that you spend into it. And I'm also assuming, and if you could speak to that, I'd be interested, like, what are the emotional demands of managing all of these probably somewhat tempestuous personalities? And then is there like a vision that you have of this sort of space, or something analogous to this sort of space, that can merge with people's, like, that can incorporate people who don't either have a means of fame or some artistic endeavor that can fit into like a more normal life,
Right.
not necessarily an atomized one, but just a
more normal life. Okay, so my first thought is okay, I really can just exist and tell you how I exist, and I don't know if that's going to match up with everyone's personal perspective. I can't, unfortunately, solve the atomization crisis.
No, of course. It's more about like what, like, the way you exist will change, right? As you get older.
Yeah, absolutely. The community will not last forever, I'm sure. Or I might hand off reins to someone else. In fact, I might do that anytime. So the first thing I'll say, though, is I have a friend from Ottawa who's a DJ, and he made a DJ community fairly successfully without any fame whatsoever. I guess he worked really hard to get known in the local scene. And I can only really speak to art communities, but I helped him. I coached him a little bit through the idea of, first of all, I gave him the idea that you need a community. And then second of all, I slowly worked with them to like build up a sort of DJ community. And then from that DJ scene that he built in Ottawa, he now is one of the most successful DJ people in Ottawa, met a bunch of people. It's been very good for his life. So that's one small example of being able to do it without fame. That's an example I know because he's one of my best friends. And then how is it managing these personalities? Not great. I mean, I don't want to do it. I'm only doing it because no one else is doing it. And the moment someone comes along and they're like, I'm going to do this and I'll take over the lease and you just pay me $500 a month and you can just be a member of the studio and a voice piece for it. Hell yeah, I'm going to ditch this shit. So I don't like managing people. I'm not a manager. I'm a fun little gremlin guy. That's a different role for sure. But I'm doing it for now because it pushes me to be better and blah, 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 blah. I had to manage a little disagreement earlier, and I don't like it. I don't like conflict. But so far everything's been good. We haven't run into any problems yet. Any serious problems. I mean, I'm sure we will eventually. And then everyone will be like, the fall of the CC, and they'll be like, I'll be in like a YouTube thumbnail, and there's gonna be a line going down. Mark my words, there's gonna be X's through my eyes. There's gonna be like the disaster of the CCCRU. And then, but I don't give a fuck. It's fine. 3, how would this fit into like a normal person's life? I don't know. If you figure it out, let me know.
Sure. Yeah, I mean that's reasonable.
I'd
do you have
normal
people?
Yes, I have other communities that I don't talk about publicly.
No, not. Are there normal people in the CCCRU?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think of some of the most normal people. We have a couple of like pretty normal people, but I think the fact that they're willing to associate with us makes them weird. So I don't know. There's at least a couple of people, if you met them, they'd be like, wow, this is a normal guy. But then you zoom out and you're like, they're in this weird space working with these weird people. And then you got to wonder.
Does anyone have children?
Yes. One of our members does, but they're very secretive about their kids, so I won't tell you who.
Thanks, Josh. Katherine, you had a question about status in the chat?
Yeah, I mean, Josh, I'm surprised that you brought up fame as an anchor. I mean, I understand it does seem like successful communities have sort of a status seeking element, and I don't say that as a value judgment at all. I think that could actually be pretty good, right? But I don't know. I mean, there's plenty of communities and scenes that don't have, like, you don't really need fame. You need a common thread, and sometimes it is fame, and even ones that are like online and then you move it offline. Is it just the interest isn't always downstream of fame or status.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was more speaking to this particular one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We associate with people who are just starting out as well. If we think they got a good vibe, and we've ran into them and talked to them outside of the studio context. We try to keep it as open as possible, but also have a little bit of a barrier to entry, just so that it's not every fan of like the people that follow the studio having access to it.
What role do you think fame or status seeking more generally plays in community formation? Doesn't have to be yours specifically.
Oh, in general, do we have communities anymore? Because like I keep looking and I don't find any. So I mean, like hypothetically, probably a decent amount. I mean, communities sort of make a natural hierarchy based off of whatever interest that you guys all have. There's going to be a more successful DJ and stuff. I don't even have the most subscribers in this community anymore. There's the reaction channel guys blow me out of the water. So I don't know.
You do bring up a good point. We'll move on to Lisa, but you bring up a good point, like natural hierarchies that emerge within groups and sort of these global hierarchies maybe is something that we could chew on, put on the back burner.
Yes.
But let's move on to the next question.
I'm an anarcho-communist, for the record.
Liza, you had a question?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, I have a really random question. Does life feel like an adventure to you? And if so, when do you feel like it started?
Life feels like a horror, like a horror house that I'm going through. I'm like,
Wow.
oh, what's through this door? Ah! I don't get excited about things. I only get fearful. So I'm a bad person to ask about this. But when I started this community, yeah, I felt like a sense of adventure. I felt like a sense of like doing. I guess probably when I felt like I was living closer to like my values and the things that I wanted, and I felt like I was doing stuff that I wish I had when I was younger. I guess that sort of felt adventurous, but mostly it's a horror show. Life.
Yeah, you're doing things you're scared of, but you're doing them anyways.
Yeah.
Maybe
we could spin it like that for the theme of not being pessimistic and instead being realistic. Yes.
I think that's it. That's all I had to ask.
Okay.
All right.
Life is good, everybody. Life is good and fun and an adventure, and definitely not a horror show, just a series of horrific events, one after the other.
Amen. Kevin, you're up.
Hey, Greg, big fan. I'm glad to be here.
Good to meet you.
Oh, thanks, man. So in the US, we kind of just had a big thing happen, like a big election. I don't know if you heard about it.
I picked up through the grapevine. Yes, I've heard about it.
Yeah, over
Yes.
the border.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder, like, do you ever reflect on, like, your like influence, like, like an actual people's like decision making, and like,
No. If I reflected on that, it would just be another horror show.
Yeah.
I've got enough of those. I actively try not to think about it. I hope I have no influence on anyone. I hope I've never influenced a single soul to do anything except go outside more. I think I think if the only thing I really want to influence, because influencer, the only thing I really seek to influence is stuff that's downstream from the specific political positions people have. And I think that the best thing to address is atomization. That's like the most useful thing to focus on, I think. So, I think your politics get better if you have friends. So,
Related to that, do you have, besides like making videos and reading internet content, like what are some things you like to do? Like, I don't know, ride your bike or like.
I like to go for long walks on the beach, but there's no beach around here. So I just go for long walks down these cyberpunk streets.
Cool.
All right. Any other questions? Okay,
Yeah, I've got another one. I can just keep going. But okay, so the people who are in this community, have your lives become enmeshed in ways that aren't professional? So are you like having dinner at each other's houses? Are you like has it kind of bled out in a way? Because obviously you want to put up some barriers, especially if you're professionally engaging with somebody, but has it managed to enmesh in a less controlled way? Because right now it's like the way you describe it is very channeled, right? It's very directed. But that doesn't really lead to the kind of like fulsome, broader spectrum enrichment that you like hope for, and that even the word community really carries with it.
Yeah, I mean, we do have some guardrails about this stuff, specifically, I guess explicitly written into our rules. But for the most part, if you hang around people, like one guy's here like 12 hours a day editing his video, you're gonna eventually start to get to know people and then want to hang out with them if you like them. So I'm really sorry about that. I don't know what to do about that. I wish I could take away everyone's enjoyment of other people as humans, but unfortunately I can't. So I don't know. Maybe we should shoot them. Maybe we should get some snipers. Be like, this guy's gonna hang out with him after work. But as it stands, unfortunately, they're like, one person has been grieving about something recently, so she's been hanging out with some people afterwards to watch a movie, take her mind off things. That's just like the most recent example. Sometimes you need support. Sometimes you need to hang out with other people in a non-work context. And I just don't know what to do about this. We should be just focusing only on serving the god of techno-capital at the end of time to bring about the post-human singularity. I don't know what people are doing, but I only have so much control as a direct democracy dictatorship. So,
but you personally, are you like, is it branching out in your life?
I don't know. I mean, like we have parties at the studio, and so I see these people outside of a work context. We're just all partying basically. Because sometimes it's Halloween. It's like, who's going to throw the Halloween party? No one that these guys know. So I'll do it. And then we have a big Halloween party, and we have a roof. But yeah, me personally, I don't know. I dated a girl that I met through the studio, and that was fine. That was fine. We were monogamous. I think you have to be like really intentional about these things. But I don't know. I don't know. Okay, I truthfully don't know. Because I'm figuring it out. I feel like a baby learning to walk, just figuring out everything firsthand. Because no one ever taught me how communities work and how to have people in your life. No one ever taught me, because I grew up in Ottawa, Ontario, where Norm Macdonald came from, and it does something to your brain, clearly. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, Dizzy, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about like I kind of asked it in the chat, but like is the studio, is everybody kind of like a video artist of some flavor? And then I guess on top of that, well, whatever. I have a bunch of questions, but like, is everyone a video artist? Are there people in the house who like they're not the front of camera, like they do kind of like more like videography stuff or whatever, just kind of everyone required to do their kind of own editing and stuff like that? Or
well, mostly we edit it all ourselves, our own videos. And yes, we mostly are video people, but that's only because the internet seems to just only like video content. I mean, I know there's where I'm amongst, I'm sure many Substack writers, but and I mean, I would be very happy to have like primarily Substack writers buy. I guess Jane Gatsby is an example of someone who basically just wrote a book for the last 4 years. She's a member of our studio. She was on the Stoa actually, which is why I bring her up. But there's one guy here who is primarily an editor and goes into plays like live plays and doesn't do so much video content. I mean, I'm thinking of Ben from Canada right now, who's one of our members. But yeah, I would say the vast majority of us they make video essays and stuff of that genre. That just tends to be who we attract, but it's not an intentional thing. It just more describes like how things have come together. I'm trying not to make it like specific, like we have really harsh guardrails of who we'll associate with, just a broader category of artist and so like cultural commentator and stuff like that.
And I guess like, I feel like it was kind of like hinted at, people have mentioned it or whatever, but like I watched the canvassing video and I guess I kind of see that as like a live performance to some degree. And I'm like, do you do live performance stuff? Like, is that a big part of what?
Yeah, we do stuff like this slideshow thing, but like we all bring a slideshow of whatever we're autistically fixated about and we just show it to everybody. And I mean, you can record it if you want, but mostly it's just for other in-person people to share in the joy of whatever you're learning about. Or sometimes we premiere our YouTube videos at the studio as well. We do a lot of things in person that you can really only do in person that feels good to do.
Yeah, maybe. Sorry, I know I'm all this will believe in my for real. My last question. So the studio is not only a workplace; it is also like an actual location where you like do art there or like have like performances. Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah, we do like had like an album release that we were doing, and we performed the whole album live here. All kinds of things, like someone finished their album and they played it here for all of us to listen to, kind of silently listen to together. That kind of stuff. You can do these things with a shared space. That might be more awkward to do if you have to invite people to your house to do it.
All right, thanks, Dizzy. Xavier, you had a question.
Yeah, hi. It was resonating with what you were sharing about this, like, being on the internet feels like your brain is getting scooped out and you're a hollow shell of a man. But then of course, but hold on, but you work on the internet. So I'm curious about
you critique the phone and yet use it?
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's interesting in what you're sharing here that you have these other worlds that you're cultivating. For instance, is like, IRL album launch. That is just kind of a totally different energy. So that feels like maybe one way that you're exploring, not just, feeding the techno capital beast, although one must do it. But then also the sense I get is that, your YouTube is also part of your art and your expression you're not just doing to fund the IRL gatherings, or maybe you are. I'm curious how you think as a creator, but we're so, we all feel and are so subjugated to these platforms that we have very little control over. So there isn't this feeling, unlike maybe some other scenes. If you were in the Toronto music scene, you might feel like you had some influence over like which bars were cool and you could shift around how things happened. You could have some influence over how we promote things, or like you would have some ability to be really shaping the context as well as your particular offering within the context. And sometimes in online culture, it feels like we're just subservient to the whims of the platform.
Yeah.
I'm curious just how you relate with that as a creator. Do you feel like there's any hope for us to actually affect systemic change such that the internet is no longer scooping our brains out? Or do you think it just is what it is, that is the medium?
Right. Well, as an internet realist, I definitely think that we have a chance to make it work for us as humans. And as I said that sentence, I had to hold back, the pessimist side of me, which would say, no, it's only gonna get worse and worse until we're all enraptured deeper and deeper into the machine for less and less actual value. But yeah, I mean, everything you said there was pretty true. If we've been doing live shows and stuff, and we do it at the Horseshoe Tavern, which is a fun tavern to do it at because it's horseshoe. Yes, horseshoe theory, very nice. So we did a show there. We plan to do more shows there. But do I feel like we are going to use the internet more beneficially? All I can say is I hope so. Because right now, yeah, you're right. Like YouTube is like I have no control over what YouTube's going to prioritize. I can just hope I ride the right wave. Whereas in your local scene, you do have a direct impact. You do a few shows at the same place. Maybe a few of the same people come out regularly, and you get to meet those people and find out about their lives, and maybe you become friends with those people, and maybe that's part of building the community. I think one of the people who work here now as members, as a member, is one of the people that we met through our live shows, and we liked, passed the vibe check, and now they're here very frequently. So I will say that I probably reached a point with the YouTube algorithm where I was like, this is no way to live. But this is how so many of my peers live. And, you know, we're like trying to catch this right wave. And if we don't catch it, we get depressed. And that still happens to me, but the ups and downs are much less painful now because I've contextualized it within a real world community of people around me who are also going through the same sorts of things. And then, you know, you can comfort them when they're on a low. And you can be like, I was there too, and I also wanted to quit. And become a humble wine servant. But you know, that's just how it is. That's just how it is. We keep going. Yes, everything's gonna be okay. There it is.
All right. Thanks, Xavier. Nick, you had a question about art and creating online.
Yeah, I mean, my question was, it's kind of a little bit related to the other things. I mean, I guess the simplest version of the question is just, do you actually enjoy the process of creating video, right? I mean, that's your primary form that you and everyone in the studio, it sounds like you're all using, and it's just I find it's interesting, right? Because like I've often found that I have some difficulty with the fact that I enjoy what I'm doing, but then the distribution to online becomes the misery-inducing part, right?
Yeah.
And that's like you know, it sounds like you've had some members that have been there for basically the whole time that it's existed, which would indicate that maybe this has provided them some longevity that they might not otherwise have had. Have you found that this allows you to weather those ups and downs better and to tolerate some of these parts of having to distribute your stuff online that are just so intolerable?
It's made it better, but it still feels pretty bad sometimes. Like what you said about packaging, you know, you make some pure art and then you're like, now I gotta slap a title and a thumbnail on this. Or I wrote something, but I know that the writing doesn't do as well as video. So now I got to turn this into a video. Blah. This doesn't need to be a video. This is fine as writing. But I just know like 100 times more people will see it if it's a video. So I relate to that. I think I do a lot of art just for me. When I go home, I'll make like board games for myself. I'll do little drawings for myself. That's all kind of just art just for me. I do a lot of writing for myself as well. But then, you know, my brain's fucked. So like, I look at that and I'm like, how do I make this into something profitable now? So, you know, I don't know. It's quite a situation we all exist in. The context of the world around us.
All right. Kevin, we'll go with you, and this might be the last question.
Hi, it's me again. I was thinking about what you said. I really liked what you said about like the having friends gives you good politics. And so after the election, I gave up something like a 4 or 5 year moratorium on Facebook, and I went back on just to like see what people who I'd like connected with in previous lives of mine were like saying. And I was kind of disheartened to see like people with otherwise rich imagination just like feeling like they were like a chat GPT like trained on CNN talking points. And I'm like, what the and I wonder if like something about the way social media is structured, like, you know, Instagram and Facebook just like like makes things more like snippetable or like talking pointable. So I wonder like how to like break people free from like just like whether it's, if you want to call it normie or like centrism, radical
Yeah.
centrism, or
Mhm.
like just flattening, like I wonder if that's something you've thought about to like
Yes.
provide a larger like horizon of imaginable possibilities.
Yeah. So I actually have a pretty coherent theory on this. Build a bomb and ship it to a data center and then have it explode. No, I don't know. That's a big question. Big question. I certainly wouldn't be advocating for anybody to build a bomb. Go create real world communities. Communities is how you do it.
They'd have to know where the data center was though. Like, do you have a specific data center?
True,
like
true. If anyone wants to send me a day, like specific locations, we could do this at. I would make a funny skit about it, perhaps, which has
maybe the name of the security guard who works the front gate, like what kind of
maybe
kind of bribes he might accept.
I would be willing to contribute. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Peter Limberg is looking at me, and I'm kidding. Yes, I think the solution is to build more communities for people to get together, and I think community does solve a lot of problems, these interpersonal issues, because it gets us off of our phones. And this might surprise many of you who clearly have never heard this take before, but I think social media algorithms might be being used to divide us. Wow. So I don't know. I'm sure I'm gonna give you guys a second to reel from that information. Okay, it's reel as you will. What? Social media bad? Yes, indeed. Social media can, in fact, be bad and be used to turn us into robots. And I think we probably all will become robots, but that's an unrelated thought.
All right. Before we close, Kat, do you have any final questions for?
Look how stoically he dealt with the bomb threats.
Something that you brought up that was interesting is that everything has been organic. Your online popularity, people meeting through word of mouth. It seems like marketing is kind of dead. I mean, maybe it's always just been this way with like youth-driven scene culture. People just sort of like things just gather steam on their own. But I'm wondering if that's becoming just like a broader phenomenon, right? Like it's kind of difficult to astroturf things, whether that's through traditional marketing channels or less traditional ones.
Yeah. I don't know. I think marketing probably did play a role, right? Because I mean, I don't think a lot of the people that I reached out to join this community would have even read my DM. Although maybe they would have. I think if I was like in my couple 100,000 subscriber era and someone with no subscribers reached out to me and said, "Hey, I have an art studio you'd fit in well with," I think I'd join. I think it is just a matter of providing something that people need, and maybe there's an element of marketing to that. I don't know. I mean, like, I'm just so enmeshed. I'm so enmeshed with the internet. I don't know where my organic parts end and my virtual parts begin. And I think about that a lot. But I touch my face and it's still flesh. So for now,
I think there is maybe like this interesting question, like, what counts as marketing is like is having a fandom marketing. That's sort of something that just came up for me. We have Monia here, who's sort of a fandom expert. Is marketing like a self-conscious, like you're paying for advertisements? Is it
yeah.
Oh yeah, where does that start and stop? I think that's maybe an interesting question to chew on.
Well, once half of my my paying members drop out yet tomorrow because I have no specific contract with them saying that they can't, maybe then I'll start making some social media posts desperately trying to fill those 5 spaces. But for now, I haven't had to, and it has been pretty natural. And like I said, all you have to do is, in my experience, just exist powerfully, like just be whatever you guys are, and then that creates the scene. But yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. It's something to think about for sure.
All right. I'll sneak in one last question. Greg, when we first met, you shared top secret sketch with me, which I proceeded to post on my Substack right away, documenting or tracing the mimetic family. Can you see this?
Yes, yeah. I added a lot more to this. This was just what popped into my head first, but yeah.
One thing that wasn't addressed was the CCCRU name and how it's connected to the original CCRU. Like, what is a spiritual connection there? Give us the deep.
Well, they seemed pretty schizophrenic. So I was like, I'll put an extra C in here. It's total aesthetic nonsense. But I think if you look at the CCRU, they were involved in the creation of accelerationism. They were writing and thinking and talking about tech and where we're going. And that's kind of what everybody here does. So there's a pretty strong connection. We all know Nick Land and Sadie Plant and Mark Fisher. Like, that's a lot of the intellectual, I guess, although I'm not an intellectual, but the people here are. So they read a lot of that stuff. I'm illiterate personally, but I've watched a lot of video essays about it. So that should give me the sort of same intellectual footing as these people, I think. Maybe more.
I think so. So yeah, we'll close the first portion. We're going to turn off the recording in a moment. But Greg, any final thoughts you'd like to leave us with?
Yes, but you're not going to like them because they mostly involve mail bombs. I'm going to say that all you guys got to do is I don't know I'm not very good at being like inspirational or hopeful. I'm just trying to survive day to day. But I would say that if all you can do right now is a Discord community, you don't have time. I just think like having the awareness is probably the most important thing of like needing community as a key part of existing, and that we're living in a time where communities are on the sharp decline, but also there's a small resurgence that I've noticed, and I just hope that continues until we do feel more satisfied with that part of us that needs other people. That's all I would say.
Wise words. So yeah, thank you, my friend, for coming. It was a treat. And if those who have to slip out, feel free to do so now. But we're going to take a quick break. And then the question that we're going to be engaging with collectively is, does a scene need to be in a physical space to be a scene? So yeah, we'll take a couple of minutes bio break. And yeah, Greg, thanks again for coming.
My pleasure.
Thanks.